Oshiomhole blames PDP for peddling third-term agenda to confuse Nigerians. Nigerian Railway Corporation denies attack on its Abuja-Kaduna train service. On the international front, tension in the Middle East after U.S. airstrike kills Iranian Major General. And in sport, Ghana FA sacks all national coaches.
This is ANN News.
I am Olajumoke Olatunji. National Chairman of the All Progressives Congress, APC Adams Oshiomhole, has begun a war of words with the People's Democratic Party, PDP. He accused the party of being responsible for planting the idea of a Muhammad Buhari third-term agenda in the subconscious of most Nigerians. He said the party had done that to further confuse the political space. Oshiomhole made the remarks while addressing State House correspondents on Thursday after his meeting with President Buhari. He said it was a PDP former president who wanted to spend more than 8 years in office who first came up with the idea of a third term. He blamed the idea on the deceased former president Umaru Musa Yar'Adua, whom he said first tried to do a third term. He says since Yar'Adua's demise, no other president in Nigeria has done 8 years. He said former President Goodluck Jonathan spent 6 years at the helm. He predicts Buhari would complete 8 years as provided by the Constitution and would then leave. Of course, the PDP would not be outdone. It had to say something to Pepe Oshiomhole. It did that in the form of an advice saying Oshiomhole should stop pushing APC's third-term discussion in public. It also said the APC national chairman should stop pushing the impossible at the presidential villa as quote, that would not save him from the acts of suspension dangling over his political head, end quote. In a statement by PDP spokesperson Kola Ologbodiyan says Oshiomhole would not be able to escape prosecution over allegations of corruption and mismanagement of Edo State resources while he was governor of the state. Ologbodiyan's statements continued with harsh words for the All Progressives Congress and the Buhari administration. It says Oshiomhole should know that Nigerians have moved ahead to the next election and that APC is not in the people's equation. Tough and bitter exchanges there. The Deputy Director of Public Relations for the Nigerian Railway Corporation, Mahmood Yakub, has described as fake news and the machination of some mischief makers. Reports that the corporation's train on the Abuja-Kaduna service was attacked by gunmen on Thursday. The corporation's managing director, Fidet Ohiria, as well said the news was incorrect. It said a stone was thrown at the train by some boys and that only the window glass of one of the coaches was affected. He denied categorically while speaking to a newspaper that there was any attack on the train. He said none of his operations were delayed or disrupted. Operations manager of the Abuja-Kaduna rail service, Victor Adamu, said he received no report of any gun attack on the train and that the train operations had been normal. He also repeated the managing director's explanation that some boys threw stones at the train. Cross River State traders who operate out of illegal structures and along major streets in Calabar are facing a 7-day ultimatum by the state government to move their businesses elsewhere. Authorities are suggesting what or marine market. After the 7 days are up, the state says demolition will take place. The ultimatum was given by the State Commissioner for Environment, Ofon Asi, during an inspection tour in Calabar. The government wants to clear the city of hawkers and pedestrian areas to ensure free movement of persons and vehicles. Bassi said the reason the state government is working to move traders and hawkers back to the market was that the government is committed to a clean and green environment and a more organized Calabar. There are many underprivileged and destitute children on the streets of Lagos to whom none pays any attention. Many of them resort to street begging to survive. But the Reason Academy that has made the plight of these children its main concern and is doing all it can to empower disadvantaged children. Reporter Deji Badmos has the story.
The Dreamcatchers Academy is home to kids with bundles of talents. With or without shoes, There are no dull moments during dance rehearsals like this one, where the kids get to display different movements in group, accompanied by loud cheers. One after the other, they also show off their skills as they sing along to popular songs. Sheyi Oluyole runs the Free Academy to empower orphaned, street and impoverished kids. She says her experience of poverty as a young child made her realize what it feels like to be in a helpless situation.
I believe every child deserves an opportunity to succeed, irrespective of their background. And I realized that there are so many people that have talent, but because they don't have the opportunity. So for me, it's like this academy is like a ticket for these kids to a better life. So they would have opportunities that they otherwise might not have ever dreamed of or had.
But this is not just about dance. Dreamcatchers is about reshaping the lives of these children. Through the project, Oluyole also makes sure these kids are enrolled in schools. Her biggest projection is an art academy which provides life skills and formal education.
During school days, we only rehearse for 1 hour. And then during the weekend, we rehearse for longer hours, like 3-4 hours. And also, education is very important. We have a library in the house that somebody donated, where sometimes I make sure that the kids bring in a book report every week, just to make sure that they are reading and staying up to date.
This is 9-year-old Oluwaseun. You can tell from watching her dance that she is happy to be here. Things became difficult for her family after her dad passed on. But ever since Dreamcatchers took her in, her dream of becoming a great dancer has seen a major support.
Now I'm eating good food, and now I have good clothes to wear. I've gone for a lot of shows that we can't count it. I want to become a teacher when I grow up and a dancer. Because whenever I'm sad, when I dance, it always makes me happy.
Each child here is fed daily at a cost of about $3, and Oluyole is taking it upon herself to provide these from her personal savings, donations and what the academy makes from paid shows. While this can be overwhelming on its own, she also has to deal with some of the children's psychological challenges.
They have different upbringings, different beliefs, different experiences, and sometimes it clashes compared with mine, considering the fact that there's something I want to see. I'm trying to raise world leaders.
The academy is intentional about the enrollment of students to ensure the proper values that will last a lifetime are instilled in them.
I always want to see progress and change in the life of every single child, and that's the reason why I make sure that I only have a number that I know that as an organization we can keep track of their daily lives.
In spite of its entertaining effects, dance is beyond movement for these kids. It's their hope out of poverty and a tool with which they can change the world.
Coming up, African stories. Cameroon receives first group of asylum seekers and separatists from Nigeria. And later, international news. UK military beefs up security at its Middle East bases after US strike kills Iranian general.
Kenya's coastal Lamu County has recorded 3 deaths on Thursday when suspected Al-Shabaab militants attacked a passenger bus. Officials say 3 other persons were also injured in the attack on the bus that was traveling from Mombasa to Lamu town. County Commissioner Irungu Makareya confirmed the incident to Kenyan media. Authorities have suspended travel along the Lamu-Garsen road. The army and security agencies are combing the area and looking for suspects. Al-Shabaab, which has its base in Somalia, has carried out numerous attacks in Kenya for 10 years now. It says the attacks are in retaliation for Kenya's troop contribution to the African peacekeeping force in Somalia. Nearly 19 Cameroonian asylum seekers and former separatists have returned to Yaoundé from Lagos. The group of mainly women and children was the first group to return to Cameroon after fleeing to Nigeria to escape fighting between government troops and separatists in Cameroon's troubled western regions. Cameroon authorities say the group returned without pressure under an agreement with Nigeria. They also say at least 700 asylum seekers and rebels are expected to return before the end of February. Among the returnees of former separatist fighters who said they were returning to Cameroon because the government is making efforts to address the conflict. Other separatist fighters have taken to social media to describe the returning separatists as sellouts and have called them for their capture. The government says it will place the former rebels in rehabilitation centers and reintegration programs before releasing them. The returnees are said to be staying with relatives in Yaoundé. They expressed fear of returning to their homes. They say they would do that after fighting has ended and villages and towns destroyed during the conflict have been rebuilt. For many people, damaged metal sheets, pipes and scrap metal from one-off products are unwanted materials that hold no value. But these discarded items are serving as a way out of poverty for some Malawian youths who have discovered ways of turning them into kitchenware. Reporter Daniel Arapmoy tells us more.
From the molten material, the youth fashions pots, spoons and frying pans which many customers describe as durable. The skills needed to produce useful tools out of scrapyard metals are easily transferable. Just like that, the boys who suffered the pangs of youth unemployment are breaking the mold.
I started this workshop alone, but I later on thought it would be a good idea to share my skills with other youth who are interested to learn new skills, and now we are growing in number. I see a bright future for these young boys.
Job creation for Africa's youth remain an uphill struggle, as 2 out of 5 economically active youth remain unemployed in most countries across the continent, including Malawi.
According to the International Labour Organization, unemployment affects 1 in 4 Malawians aged below 35 years. The youthful entrepreneurs buy disused car engine heads, rims and other redundant aluminum parts. The metals are heated to melt in a traditional oven. These youths have not only created employment for themselves, they have created employment for middlemen who order and resell the pots to different parts of Lilongwe city and surrounding districts.
I need money for my tuition, so instead of sitting at home doing nothing, I come here to learn.
You are seeing others, the young of us, they have a benefit because of this way. Instead of going, staying where like gambling, stealing, begging in the streets, they can come and training this. After that, they can find the benefits because of this way.
The factory uses files to shine the outer side and small knives to smoothen the interiors. Everyone has a role to play. These young men in the outskirts of Lilongwe are gaining valuable skills and an economic lifeline that is making a difference in their lives.
This job may not be the very best, but it has helped me put food on my table. I am able to pay my house rent, buy clothes and other necessities in life.
Despite the positive stride the youth are making, liquefying the metals consumes large amounts of charcoal, a phenomenon which is wiping out forests in the outskirts of the city. But the young entrepreneurs are looking forward to the day they will upgrade to cleaner and environmentally friendly sources of energy for heating up the metals they rake from the streets.
When the list of the world's best bars was released in October last year, it was dominated by bars in Europe, the US and Asia. But Africa, South Africa to be precise, made a showing on the list. In this report by Elisa and Jamela, it is easy to see why the bar was picked as one of the best in the world.
It is simply impossible to talk about the world of South African bartending without mentioning the name Julian Short. He's a part owner of this popular and innovative bar called Syntax in Rosebank, Johannesburg. Syntax is a dark and edgy, yet plush and sophisticated bar. The bar gives an air of nonchalant cool, a place that tickles the fancy of anyone looking for a trendy spot. The charm and intimacy of this space is enhanced by moody lighting at every turn. But the main attraction is the master mixologist himself, Julian Short. So before we get into the intricacies of his cocktails, we find out what exactly is a mixologist.
So a mixologist more specifically is someone who comes up with the recipes themselves. So instead of having like a cook who's just told what to do, or a bartender who's just following recipes, a mixologist would be the person who puts them together and comes up with the formulas and the ingredients and figures out how to make them work together.
So we went straight for it and let Julian work his magic. Each cocktail is a work of art, the result of weeks of experimentation and refinement.
So it is like a stage. The lights go down, everyone knows what to say, people order the drinks and we make them for them. It's pretty much performance every single night. 8 hours, you know. Love it. Yeah, love it. I mean, there's times where it's not so easy, but I mean, that's okay. I love it. We all do.
With his knowledge of craft cocktails and experience representing South Africa in competitions around the world, Short has won a number of awards. The latest accolade fills him with pride.
I was on a trip in Hong Kong and I got an email saying I got an email from the world's best 50. So they have the world's top, like best 50, and then they extended that list to top 100, and we came in at number 88, the only bar in the continent of Africa, and it was just phenomenal. I can't even tell you how much it means. It's been a lot, and it's been, I think, well deserved, and it's kind of just really helped us as a team kind of focus and put our heads back down and go, cool, we're doing the right thing. I didn't think anyone was watching, and apparently they were. So
Julian has trained so many people in the art of mixology, and many of those have gone on to become notable mixologists themselves.
When we return, international news. UK military beefs up security at its Middle East bases after US strike kills Iranian general. And later, sports. Ghana FA sacks all national coaches.
The Iranian government has commented on the US drone strike that killed Tehran's most powerful military commander, Major General Qasem Soleimani. The Iranian government has threatened to hit back in response to this strike. The US strike has dramatically sharpened tensions across the Middle East. Soleimani was regarded as the second most powerful figure in Iran after Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Top Iraqi militia commander Abu Mahdi al-Mazindi, an advisor to Soleimani, was also killed in the attack. Iran has been in a long conflict with the United States that escalated sharply last week with an attack on the U.S. embassy in Iraq by pro-Iranian militiamen following a U.S. air raid on the Kataib Hezbollah militia founded by Mohandes. The Pentagon said the U.S. military took the defensive action to protect U.S. personnel abroad by killing Qasem Soleimani. It also said the strike was ordered by President Donald Trump to disrupt future Iranian attack plans. Meanwhile, Britain has increased its security and readiness at military bases in the Middle East following the U.S. killing of Iranian Major General Qasem Soleimani. Britain has around 400 military personnel in Iraq who help provide training in the country. They are mostly located at Taji base north of Baghdad. Britain's Ministry of Defense says, quote, "The safety and security of our personnel is of paramount importance, and we keep our force protection measures under constant review. We do not comment on specific force protection measures." End quote. The leaders of Cyprus, Greece and Israel have called on Turkey to refrain from sending troops to Libya. They say that would violate Libya's national sovereignty and independence. The three countries jointly criticized Turkey's bill allowing troop deployment in Libya. The three countries say it is a dangerous escalation in the North African country's civil war and severely threatens stability in the region. The three leaders say the decision imposes an arms embargo in Libya and seriously undermines the international community's efforts to find a peaceful political solution to the Libyan conflict. The Turkish parliament has just approved a bill that allows deployment of troops in Libya, and a move that paves the way for further military cooperation between Ankara and Tripoli. Turkey is unlikely to put boots on the ground immediately. Italy has joined France by kicking off a new tax to be levied on large tech companies, a move that is likely to put more strain on the country's relations with the United States. The tax is similar to the one France implemented in 2019, which has attracted severe criticism from the U.S.
Italy has begun taxing digital services supplied by companies that make over 750 million euros in global revenue, including at least 5.5 million euros in Italy. The tax that was implemented January is the first that is fixed at 3% and will add an estimated 60 billion euros in revenues. Italy is the second EU country to introduce the tax after France in 2019. Analysts say that American tech giants such as Google, Facebook, and Amazon will be hit hard by this tax. The U.S. government has threatened to levy higher tariffs on French imports after France introduced its digital service tax last year. The EU Commission, meanwhile, has proposed a union-wide digital service tax, but the levy is strongly opposed by some member countries.
In the past 20 years, the European Union failed to form a fiscal union on top of political, social and economic integration. That's the main weakness of the EU. There are some EU countries that take advantage of the lack of a fiscal union by offering preferential fiscal policies to businesses. Examples are Ireland, the Netherlands and Luxembourg.
Up next, sport. Ghana FA sacks all national coaches. Please stay with us.
Welcome back. This is ANN News in Sport. The Nigeria Football Federation has revealed none of its junior national team coaches will be allowed to bring foreign-based players to fortify their squads. It says this move will help restore confidence in the domestic league. NFF General Secretary Sanusi Mohammed blamed the failure of the junior national teams in 2019 to less attention paid to domestic competitions. He also cited the activities of club agents, whom he said are more interested in marketing than developing the players. The Ghana Football Association has sacked technical team members of all the national teams with immediate effect. The GFA said in a press release the decision affects both male and female national teams.